Hey guys, I just want to talk about how to create the best quality mezcal in the world. Now, you can put mezcal in a bottle, and most mezcals are good. A lot of people now are graduating from tequila to mezcal because tequila is normally drank in cocktails. It's not always drank neat unless you shot it, but a lot of people actually, they say kiss bandida or kiss mezcal. So you just sip it. You don't shot it, you enjoy it, because it takes a long time to make a very good quality mezcal. So I just want to talk about how it's made and some of the production processes, but I first want to talk about the bottle. At the bottom of every bottle is Mayoel. She's the goddess of agave, an amazing subject to read up on around the Aztec traditions. Basically, a bolt of lightning hit an agave plant which gave birth to the first ever mezcal. Mezcal actually predates tequila. There's this very famous saying, all tequilas are mezcals, but not all mezcals are tequila, because tequila comes from the azul, the blue Weber agave, whereas mezcal can come from 50 to 100 different types of maguey, or different types of agave. Maguey is the sort of colloquial word used in towns to describe the type of ensemble or the mix or a specific type of agave like espadín. We use espadín because you actually have to use less of the plant, so much less we have to take from the earth, which I prefer, rather than tobala or madroquiche, where you might only get 1 or 2 bottles from a whole agave plant. So, as I say, this is Mayoel. This is our depiction of how she would look, the goddess of agave. And I think it's very important that every time a drink is poured, whoever's drinking it will see a bit about the history of mezcal. And do you need to hear it from me? I don't know, but I like talking about it. I've immersed myself in this world for the last 5 years. So I want to talk about how to create the best quality mezcal in the world. My background's actually in physics, so I can talk about oxyhedral groups and I can talk about lots of the different parts of the process. So we'll start quickly with the shape of the bottle is the piña. The piña is the pineapple, is the heart of the agave. The leaves or the pencas are cut off, and then you have the piña of the agave. So first of all, if you can go to a campus, a field, and you can look around and you can see the quality of the agave, first thing is the aging. We age our agave for 11 years, which is a long time. That entire time, the agave is soaking up the minerals from the ground. A common word used now is terroir, but the agave soaks up the minerals from the ground slowly. You want the agave to grow slowly, so time is very important. We use something called the capon method, where the quiote is cut off, and what happens is, instead of the sugar going into the quiote, the sugar permeates into the agave piña itself, and you get a sweeter flavor profile. It's actually there's a lot online about, I always want to say drink responsibly, because there's a lot online about mezcal not giving you a hangover. That was the first thing I ever heard, that mezcal doesn't give you a hangover, because it's a prebiotic or a probiotic. Prebiotic's a better word. The agave contains fructin, which is a long chain carbohydrate, a long chain polysaccharide sugar, which basically means it shouldn't spike your blood sugar levels. But again, I don't want to say that, because all alcohol is alcohol, it's ethanol, and it's going to get you drunk, and if you drink too much of it, you're going to feel terrible. So I just want to allay a few rumours. Yep, there's no sugar, there's no additives, there's no sweeteners. That's going to help a lot with the hangover, but if you drink enough, you're still going to get a hangover. So the second thing is the capon, and the third thing about the actually harvesting the agave we call comani. You can see like a red bark at the bottom of the agave plant, and that's a very good quality agave, and comani agaves are the only type of agaves that we use to make bandida. Then you harvest it. This is down to the field workers. We pay double to triple what most people are paid in the field. It's a hard job. These guys start at 6 a.m. every single morning. They use a koa, they use machetes to cut the pencas, to cut the leaves. It is a hard job. These guys are super strong, super fit, and it's what they do all day, every day. They stop around 12 because it gets too hot in the day, and we typically stay on the fields for many of these days when the farmers are working to make sure they're having a good time and enjoying it, because it's a hard job. Okay, the second thing, once we've harvested the agave, is taking the piñas back by wheelbarrow in a truck to what we call the palenque. The palenque means like a room of sticks. If you look at this room, there are no walls, and there's a reason for that, which I'll come on to. So at the palenque, we use a earthen pit. So it's an underground pit. We put all the piñas in there and we heat them up. Now, it's super important, the hands of the Maestro Mezcalero, and it's super important the materials that are used. So we used something called guamachil, which is a very slow burning wood. This wood slowly burns, if you imagine a barbecue with all the coal on top. We actually have volcanic rock. The guamachil wood heats the volcanic rock. The volcanic rock slowly heats the piñas of the agave and cooks them. This is what we call cooking agave. Now, all of the little steps, the wood, the materials used to cover the agave, all have a lasting impact on the flavour and the type of mezcal. So whilst every agave is different, you'll always notice the Maestro Mezcalero's tastes, his or her lot of agave will taste similar because of the processes and methods that he or she uses. So when you cover the agave, you can use to cook, to heat them, to smoke them. You can use anything. People use potato sacks, people use agave leaves. If you let that smoke for too long, you get a very smoky mezcal. And most people that we speak to don't like over smoky mezcals, so we try not to make it too smoky. We don't smoke it for too long. The third part is what we call milling or cutting. You've probably all heard of a tahona. Our tahona is 70 years old. It weighs 2 tons. It's from a local quarry. And this tahona is pushed around in a circle and it squashes all of the agave. So we have what's called agave mash. If you eat this agave, it tastes like a beautiful syrupy sweet. That's why a lot of cocktails use agave syrup. And we need to get mash for the next stage, which is fermentation. Fermentation, if you're not sure what it is, get any sugary plant, put water in there, put yeast in there, and it will convert to alcohol. That's fermentation. Most alcohol types just use synthetic yeast and it will create an alcohol. We actually use something called wild fermentation. So we put the agave in these open vats made of pine. Microbes, natural microbes in the air come, they consume the agave mash. Those wild microbes act as yeast. We call them wild yeast. And the water is not heated up like in say with tequila. It's actually just using the sun. The sun heats up the water naturally. So no electronic heaters are used. And the yeast then consume the agave mash and they give off CO2 and alcohol. So you can actually hear the CO2, you can see the bubbles come out of the water. And actually the water is probably one of the most important things. In this bottle there are 2 ingredients. There's agave and there's water. The water comes from a local mountain called Nueve Puntas. So if you're watching this in London or in France, if you think about Evian or Tonon, these mountains, the reason why they call it mineral water is because the water takes in the mineral from the mountain. But also the sun, the ultraviolet from the sun hits the water, kills any bacteria. It's then filtered through a carbon filter, much like you might have at home. But this is all done naturally at Nueve Puntas or Nine Peaks Mountains. The water comes through and that's what we use for fermentation. So it's natural water, natural wild yeast to ferment. It's probably the most natural type of alcohol fermentation that exists. And the final stage is distillation, where we have 2 distillations. The first distillation, what comes out is called ordinary. So it's not actually mezcal, but it removes a lot of the impurities, a lot of the sugars. It's on the second distillation where we use a furnace to heat the agave. We actually evaporate the agave and cool it back down, and this condenses, and that's called distillation. Now the key here, it's down to the hands or los manos of the Maestro Mezcalero. The first 10%, well, first 7 or 8% of the second distillation that comes out is actually called the head, and this is mainly methanol. You don't want to drink it. People used to drink it. It's the body that you want to take out, which is ethanol, which is mezcal, and the tail. Again, you don't want to really drink too much of the tail. These are removed, and it's down to the taste, the smell, and other factors that the Maestro Mezcalero, and down to his or her hands, to extract the exact amount from the body. So there are lots of different types of mezcal. I recommend you come here to Oaxaca. We're here on the coast of Oaxaca. It's my favorite state in the world. It's most people's favorite city when they come. You can go and visit palenques. You can try hundreds of different types of mezcals. You can go to mezcalatecas, the one's called mezcalateca, but you can go to mezcalerias and try all different ages and plants and species, and you soon find out that that's why they call agave the spirit of a nation, because it's generations and generations of families that make this. So with Bandita, it's a 4th generation family. We tried 1,500 different types of mezcal 5 years ago, and the one that we picked was our favorite, and we ran a blind tasting, and it actually won by 4-1 in a blind tasting. That was with spirit sommeliers, wine sommeliers, but also people who know nothing about mezcal. We just wanted to get an idea of what people really enjoy to drink, and we really now want to bring mezcal to the world. Only 10 million litres of mezcal are exported from Mexico every year, which is about a 60th of the amount of tequila that's exported, and we want to introduce this spirit to the rest of the world, which is why we've made this beautiful bottle. It grabs people's attention, but it's not just the bottle, it's more about the liquido, it's more about the liquid and what's inside the bottle that is important. There's lots of nice bottles on the market, but we wanted to create the best mezcal in the world. That is our aim. We have one of the highest ranks from the CRM, from the Consortium for the Regulation of Mezcal, and we pride ourselves on working every single day to create the best quality mezcal. I'd say we have pretty much a 99.9% feedback when we take this to bar managers, bar staff. It's really the guys and the girls behind the bars that do the job of selling alcohol. That's why we have Instagram, but we don't really advertise to consumers, because it's really the teams who really understand alcohol and tell their clients. If you go to a good bar, it will be the mixologist or the bar manager that will tell you about, you know, what drinks are good. So we spend a lot of our time doing tastings and masterclasses to educate the world, because the more you know about mezcal, the more you care about mezcal. So thank you very much. Final thing is we are introducing Bandido Cristal in the next few weeks. This is a glass bottle. It's taken us 3.5 years. We made this mold September 2021. It's taken 3.5 years, hundreds of samples to get the contours exactly how we like them in the molds, to get the material, the right weight, the right size, the right thickness, to get all of these curves in the right place, to get gold decal on, which is very, very difficult to get gold onto glass. And the lid is a proprietary cork that we use, that we've tested on thousands of bottles, and the lid is metal, it's not plastic. So we really urge you, if you buy one of these, to reuse it. You can send it back to us, we can restock it with Bandido to not put these to waste. And that is pretty much everything. Thanks for listening.